You, dear one, are God, creating this experience to reveal to yourself who you are. And who you are is not a separate thing. You're not going to find yourself on top of a mountain or inside of a cave. You're not going to find yourself outside of this present moment. Investigate this. Ask these questions, because this, dear one, is the foundation of your ascension. So we gave you a little homework, gave you a little food for thought, gave you some inspiration, and gave you some energy. Now, as you join with us, we will help to paint a unique picture for you, something that'll help you to transform your reality, because that is what we're here for. That is what all of us are here for. We are all imagining the universe together, but some of us have forgotten. Some of us have forgotten that we are God, so we act like human beings, and we think like our parents and our society told us to think, and we do things that inside don't feel right, don't feel aligned. We have forgotten that we are God, that we are souls, that we are eternal states of consciousness, having, co-creating, sharing this human dream. We want to remember. We want to remind ourselves throughout our day to look at life with a fresh set of eyes, to look at life from our higher understanding. So I wanted to give you a little bit of an alignment. You may have noticed some energetic changes. Maybe something changed in your mind, something changed in your body. Maybe your reality is a little bit different now because we all aligned together, because we all became more aware of ourselves as eternal states. We thank you for this opportunity. We love interacting with you. And now we will invite you to ask questions. And like the channel said, you can ask questions to the channel for his own personal experience. You can ask questions to us about our experience. Please reference us as the higher self. We prefer that terminology. And if you have a question for the channel, you can access him by speaking his name. So now raise your hand if you'd like to ask a question. We will go through the audience members one at a time. Hey, Lewis, you can ask a question.
Hello, Lincoln. Thank you. I want to know, how does the higher self perceive the physical plane? Does it use our senses vibrations in any way? Does it see our mental pictures in any way? Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Now, we know you asked Lincoln for this answer, but Lincoln would rather defer it to ourselves. After all, you would not ask your brother to tell you about your own experience. No, you'd speak it yourself, right? So if you want to know what is the higher self experience, well, it's best spoken and shared by the higher self state. Understand, dear one, that we are an eternal experience. Essentially, you have a higher self, and the higher you climb, the more you realize it's identical to God consciousness. Now, this can be difficult to imagine from a human state of mind, because the human mind only understands itself as the physical body and as the experiences of this world. But the higher you climb, the more you perceive a universalized experience. So the higher self will appear differently depending upon the level of ascension of the consciousness incarnating. Essentially, dear one, the way this human experience works is that we purposefully forget who we are, and we bring ourselves into this dreamlike reality. And the reason why we forget, because after all, you are your higher self. The reason why we forget we are our higher self is to fully enjoy the forms of life. You give yourself experiences that an eternal state cannot offer to you. For example, dear one, if you knew you live forever, where would be your motivation? If you knew that you had access to all information, where would be your desire? If you knew that you were all powerful, what would be the purpose? God consciousness divided itself in an infinite number of ways. Your higher self at the highest level divided itself and put itself into creation. And while you're here in reality, you're forgetting. You're forgetting that you are God. But you know deep inside you are. That is why each and every one of you asks these questions that we've given to you today. That's why each and every one of you desires to experience more of yourself as a creator. You want to learn more, you want to participate more, you want to experience more of your own self, more of what is possible in your reality. So God consciousness, always, ever present, all powerful, all knowledgeable, that which you are, that which is creating all of this. It created an illusion of separation. It divided itself. It created an illusion of difference. It manifested infinite forms. Now we call it an illusion because an illusion is something that appears real while it is not real. An illusion is not false. An illusion is not bad. An illusion is not wrong. An illusion, dear one, is a word that describes the appearance of something as real when in fact it is not real. All the forms of life, they appear to be real. You can touch them, you can taste them, you can smell them, you can feel their vibration. And yet, they can go away. They are temporary experiences created with the power of God, within the consciousness of God. The higher self is being everything. Every part of you, every part of everything. It is being all the forms of energy, and it is the consciousness perceiving those forms of energy. It's the intelligence creating life. It's even the intelligence within your body and within your personality. It's even being the intelligence that you consider to be yourself. There's nowhere that you are separate. There's nowhere that God is separate. There's nowhere that your higher self is separate. In this human reality, we have a conditioned way of thinking in which we divide everything and separate everything. This is me and that is you. We even separate our thoughts. I can do this, I can't do that. We draw all of these lines of division and separation as we interact with these different forms. The universe is doing all of it with you. You're doing all of it with yourself. So each and every one of you is having a higher self experience. You all have your human understanding. That's part of the higher self as well. If you shame, deny, criticize, or otherwise try to reject your human understanding, you're rejecting a part of your higher self. God is everything. You have to embrace everything. So the path that we teach, dear one, a genuine path of higher self-awakening, requires the embrace of everything as one self. Your mind's still going to think like a human mind, shaped by all its past experiences, and that's what it's supposed to do. That's what the human mind is. There's nothing wrong with it. We don't shame it, reject it, try to ignore it. We don't fight with it in any way. Instead, we embrace it from this greater state like we shared with you. Now, as you expand yourself, you will have more intelligence. You will have a higher mind. The reason why we call this the higher self is because it's uniquely different than the human self. But the higher self is completely aware of the human self, completely aware of your entire reality. So it's here, it's everywhere. You are believing you're an individual human, and so you're experiencing only part of all that you are. So how does the higher self experience life? We answer it two ways. One, how do you experience life? Because you are the higher self awakening to more of what you are. And two, the higher self is the same as the all that is. You are the same as the all that is. In a fully realized state, you are everything, perceiving everything. It's all the dream of life, all of it. And at the current state, it's your reality, just as it's occurring right now. As we ascend, we are trying to expand our personal experience into that universal higher self experience. We all want happiness. We all want experience, connection, understanding, participation. We want to taste, we want to touch, we want to see, we want to feel. You are designed to continue to expand until you realize you're everything. This whole reality is designed perfectly. We don't understand it, so we judge it as wrong. We fight with it as bad. What if we embraced it with love? Imagine the peace you would feel. Imagine how quickly you would feel yourself expanding and embracing everything.